Okay, we're a little south at the large tree. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You think about the tree you saw in the square of Howler's Dell, which was much smaller. Get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grass or on the shores. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now? Or was there, at a point in time, centuries ago, where they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Rico is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with his tail. Whatever it is you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion's eyes see this place through very different eyes. Go ahead and look around just for a moment. Quick save. Approach the altar. There's clumped dirt and uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rain. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. All right. Well, we got Numa. Might as well use some. Let's see what we got. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots on the altar next to the roots beneath it, and a few steps away on the boulder. You begin the ritual, after which all you can do is wait. You go for a walk. Okay, we got 11 hours. With Rico, making sure there are no monsters in your vicinity. When you return to collect your amulets, only the one placed on the rock hasn't changed its temperature. The others are cold. The closer they are to the tree roots, the cooler they are, almost painfully so. This is not what was supposed to happen. If the objects are filled with magic, the spheres get warmer. If not, they stay in their original state. But why this? You've never seen such a reaction. Maybe this tree drains life energy and magic. Alright, well, what offering do I have? Let's offer the spear. Let's try it. You put the goblin spear on the altar, but nothing happens. Okay. And the water? You step cautiously. Without knowing how deep it gets, you have to consider that a Saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge the potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. And while the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree fruits, which looks like a spider web covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. And the roots themselves? You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles the fur on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you would expect. Is there anything I can do with it? Let's try to pull it. The root doesn't resist your touch, and you can easily bend it. You hold it tightly, and your hands sink into it like it's a soft pillow. You feel its warmth. You start to pull, but with little to no effect. No matter how much strength you put into it, it's held firmly by something in the water, probably covered by the swamp floor. Can we pull it? Oh. What about pushing it? Not much. Cut with axe. Can I cut it? Pull out your knife and stop in place. You can't tell what the results of wounding the tree. You know what? It's better not to tempt fate. If I can imagine this correctly, it drains the life of nearby. It's why the fish are avoiding it, and it's why it's dead itself. Alright, no need to tempt fate here. Let's head a little further south. The shapes of mountains are cutting through the horizon. The water gets gradually less muddy. The cleaner it gets, the more animals you see. A family of deer blocks the road, resting and enjoying the cold water, which would be deadly for a human stomach. You consider riding around them through the sparse meadow, but your presence also causes them disquiet. Without much haste, they regroup and run east into the leafy forest. All right, not much there. Ooh, hello. You've reached Hag Hills, the wall of stones that has stopped the city's grasp. The one well established route through them leads through the valley where you found Tulia's camp. There are no maps in the highlands, nor local tribes, only stories. The beaten path leads you by the garden beds of herbs and vegetables to an old yet not abandoned mine, hidden beneath a massive door of steel. Alright, well, let's see what we can find. A bearded, skinny elder sits on a bench, observing you like a sculpture, with his legs crossed and his fingers interlocked on his abdomen. Let's keep it distance for now. We don't know this man. Get off the horse respectfully. You dismount and keep an eye on Rico. Greet the man, and as he nods back to you, you mention that you have a few questions. There's a cold civility in the air, as if you're sharing a table at an inn. I need you to look at me while you speak. His strict voice reminds you of a master of the craft guild, though his thick accent distorts this image. I can hear thee without magic, but I'll read your lips. I've nae wish to talk about your daily struggles, traveler. It's not a refuge for strangers. See what you're looking for, let us half split. He doesn't yell, but his voice is not used to being opposed. His face is wrinkled, but set straight, with beard and hair still carrying glimpses of fair blonde. He's tanned like a worker, and his eyes are blue and piercing, as if they belong to an infant. I'm a Roadwarden. What do you call him? Let's say sir. He stares off across the garden beds, forcing you to wait in silence. The elder is tall, with long hair and a beard that was let loose a long time ago. His sandals are covered in dust, and you spot dirt on his clothes and skin. The woolen tunic and linen were made with care, decorated with colorful threads at the collar and sleeves. Now all the blues and greens have faded. The fabric is held together by patches and stitches. His hands are still folded, and the voice remains firm. You do not know your our customs, your name, your trade, your calling meaning nothing to the forest. I do not know what you expected to find here, but this is not a place for strangers. All right, wait for him to look. The man stands up and approaches your palfrey. Without touching it, he observes its eyes, mane, stomach, and rear. Rico ignores the examination. My nose was right. Astarion is dead, as are his plans. Such is the fate of all dreamers. He turns towards you with a grim look. Are you going to look for him? You nod. Why? If he's vanished into the fogs, there's no point in putting yourself in danger. What do you expect to find? Well, okay, so I get to pick the reason. Well, if someone wants to make him disappear, he deserves to face justice. His chuckle is close to being a cough. This realm is owned by beast. Doom falls upon any soul that pokes the clouds with a stick. His eyes are amused. If someone had hurt him, they would have given you a dozen reasons why. Twice crucial for their survival. He pauses for a moment. Good luck for searching for justice, traveler. An egg is cracked by an ant. There's no right or wrong side. Alive as step, he heads toward the spring and washes his hand, once again forcing you to wait. Alright. His voice is cold and confident. So, what do you need? I know I should have addressed you. I want to fix my mistake. Old man? Have you met Astarion? He wanders among the garden beds from time to time, touching the leaves at hand.
He was here, more than once. He was no one to stand aside to let the events play out by themselves. The villagers from the north are sometimes in need of my assistance, and Asterion was serving them as messenger.
He bends down and tears away a small, flowerless plant.
He wanted to settle down among these roads, maybe to live freely. He had great plans and wanted to make this realm flourish, to rebuild the ruins, to get rid of the brigands, and clear the trade route. I told him that the forest needs now more people, and in this realm is too wild to feed and clothe everyone. His greed and dreams have eaten him, and now he is no more.
He pauses, and you can hear his heavy breathing, as if he's getting tired. He straightens up.
And that's that, traveler. If you want to look for a shell, travel north, far north. People there should know where he is.
All right, so north.
Do you need anything else?
And this place?
Your eye sees what there's to know. People found copper in a cave that's been long abandoned for a long time now. So we turned it into a shelter to stay close to the sacred tree and its altar. We're servants, my wife and I, and in this place there is nothing more than a servant's house.
And what can you tell me about the peninsula?
I've lived here almost a century, traveled by both paths and through the wilderness.
His voice becomes stronger and makes you think of a bard.
But I will not be your guide or teacher, and if there's anything I can wish for, it's that you will stay away from the woods. The creatures get angrier the more we take from them. They do not listen to our warnings, and one day they bury us under a storm of claws and fangs. There will be not a soul to spare a tear after us.
His eyes are as harsh as a hawk's, making him look like a priest who hears a child asking for honey on the day of a ceremonial feasting.
Do not poke the hornet's nest. Do not ride east. Do not ever use the road. Ever use the path that runs through the heart of this land.
Excuse me.
This road was meant to save time, but only brings death. Be a servant, not an overseer. Do not try to bend this place to your will.
He points at you and wags his finger after every word.
Your will, anyone's will, is the key to danger, not salvation.
Yeah, need to take some risks. Alright, can you tell me about anything about the altar near the crossroads to the north? He smiles.
This is the tree that you should pay attention to. The true grit from the forest. It answers to offerings. Rewards us with magnificent fruits. They heal both shell and soul. And make anyone who eats them stronger than they ever were. We gather around this altar whenever the winter ends. And as well as a painful sacrifice from all of us, it prepares one's soul for the future, like nothing else.
Is there any job?
We have everything we need.
And the cavern can I enter?
Why would I allow a stranger to do such a thing?
Fair enough, fair enough. I just wanted to ask. Okay. It seems like the path, the heart, of the woods is quite dangerous.
It is long and dark past, and already caught many souls of its builders. 'Tis paved with blood. The last 10 years have revealed it was all for nothing, since the days of...
He glances at you, once again surprising you how shiny and lively the blueness of his eyes are.
Of grand discord. The tribes of this land are locking themselves in their fields and houses, too afraid to leave them behind, too untrusting to meet other souls unguarded. 'Tis not the first road to be claimed by the wilderness. That will be the last.
You ask you if you've had any tips on how to survive such a trip. He tells you it would be wiser to just avoid it. He then reaches to his pocket, grabs a leaf, and puts it to his mouth, chewing gently.
Death may take many paths to a stranger, but cats are not the one's enemy that's both as dangerous in its stealth as it is combat. No human can fight it alone. You see one of them, and it's too late. Do not provoke it. Make it wary, but not scared. Look big, talk a lot, see action in his eyes.
And what can you tell me about the druids? He strokes his beard gently.
I will not share our paths with strangers. We're in for the people of Howler's Den, and for the lands that bound it.
And how have you survived? His raised voice makes him sound like a preacher.
One day, me and my wife will be but defenseless old people. But we studied Numa and leaves for many decades. I healed wounds and illnesses of humans and animals alike. And the beast listens to our whispers. The holy seed lets our shells wait for death and strength.
Okay, interesting. There's not much else south, so let's head west. No, east. My mistake. Ruined village. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds living among the collapsed roof. They're fluttering, singing, and squawking as free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. You hear a river in the east, separated by a lush meadow filled with crickets and rodents. There are many tree stumps around you, especially in the west, covered by moss and fungi. Let's click save. Let's look at the gate. I'm really enjoying this, by the way. This is fun. I hope my commentary is... I like to think I'm a halfway decent storyteller. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. Is there anything we can open it? You should take a look at the other side to be sure it's even possible, especially even it may take a couple hours without proper tools. Inspect the clearing to the west. The meadow is lush and colorful. It's so dense, it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes, you lead Rico with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case a hoof falls into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain, so let's try and fix that. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals. Though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process would be spread out across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the south, you see a path leading around the palisade. Okay. And the river? Okay, so I gotcha. So it's basically, hey, you see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with its banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold, yet clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, necks, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators, a dance of life completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp, a rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Interesting. Let's at least wash myself. Damn it. Okay. Let's inspect the palisade to the west. Ooh, there's an open hole. Tracks of human footwear and many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the fresh footprints lead to the village north. Or lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms. A good source of animal goblin food, though you expect them to also hunt for birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not this area. Okay. Let's go to the main square, which is what's next. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travelers. Yet this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Hollowin, and the paved ground took a lot of work and material. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of an expensive coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs also had to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the three smaller buildings, the rotting remains of their former splendor. The birds living in dozens of nests respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or a piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirt, animal droppings, and garbage. The well also stinks. It has no buckets, but you're afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly, you hear some sounds coming from the largest building. Quick save. You step cautiously towards the scent of urine and sweat. The flickering candlelight shows you broken furniture, yet no signs of burnt wood. You consider pulling the other door when a masculine voice proves that your presence is not unnoticed.
I didn't want it to come to this. Better stay back where you are. Whatever you put inside, be it a shoe, a hand, or your damn thinker, it'll get a bolt.
And then you roared, Roadwarden. Let's talk. Short pause.
Well, we can talk, we can. But how is that you choose this place to visit? From where all there are,
he goes on before you respond.
Maybe you're telling the truth. So let's say this. My little ballista here is all pulled and ready. But you won't do anything stupid, right? No running or jumping around. Show your hands.
The man's voice lacks confidence, and his accent is tricky for you. He could be from the distant south, but as long as you don't speak too quickly, you'll understand one another. You don't hear any other movements, breathing, or voices. You lean your axe against the wooden doorframe and make sure that your knife is well hidden. Walk inside. Seems like this man was camping out here. The dense smell of urine hits you with full force, while the tools and utensils are hard to distinguish from the rubbish. The route to the upper floor is blocked by the collapsed roof and loose wooden beams. There are scraps of rusting iron and steel on the ground, detached from the now destroyed barrels. The scavenger is now sitting on a blanket in front of the tent, pointing at the floor with his loaded crossbow. Not a short man, though, a bit skinny. He's tan, dark-haired, and has seen his share of struggles. There are long claw scars on his left cheek, and has another one that would divide his eyebrow in half if it hasn't been consumed by a fire, just like the rest of his forehead. His clothes are untainted by vanity. He's barefoot in a dirty linen shirt, with rolled-up sleeves and simple pants that use a cord for belt, his long beard and hair untrimmed and tangled. I'm not a threat. You wipe the dust off the steps before you sit down. You hear the man's annoyed voice.
Now don't get too home. It's the only place here that's not ashes and debris, and I'm not sharing it. You better ride ahead. I've already piled up what hasn't rotted.
The candle lights are dancing on his burnt face and arms. He moves his crossbow just enough to make sure he won't shoot you by accident.
I saw your horse. Maybe you could help me, What are you looking for in this place? You don't sound like you're from the north.
Short on dragon bones, see if there's anything left behind.
Aren't we all? He smiles. You came to the wrong place. Time, moisture, and the damn borers devoured all the loot. I've been here for a couple of days now, and all that's left is this iron I carried here. I was planning to get back here with some hired muscle and clear the collapsed building, but I doubt it's worth the time and risk. So listen.
He scratches his thighs and you ask what's bothering him. He sighs but doesn't look away.
I'm hungry. So damn hungry. I can't hunt or fish with all the damn ape men around. Can you share anything, Roadster? I may be a drifter, but I wouldn't beg if I had not lost my bags on the road.
Let's give him some food. We got enough.
You say so, but you don't know my arf.
He bites into the sausage right away, but after a couple of solid bites, he puts your gifts on the unfolded tunic that's lying on the floor. Without you, I would have to run after birds with my ballista. But I'll need to save the bolts for the 8-men. And because of these stinkers, I can't roast here, and raw meat makes me want to puke. Thank you. After a moment of hesitation, he grabs one of the plums. Now, Roaster, he says with a full mouth, if you have questions, I'll say a lot to make you get me out of here. Where do you want to travel to, and what will you give me for yourself? Let me explain first. I was in Hallersdale, the closest village to the east and north. People there are nice, you know, not like old Pagos. Those are all boring and grimmer than a crow. Cried coin for everything. Damn good coin. I left. Wanted to look around the ruins, see if there's anything left. Then moved to Peloton and hired the hunters to help me here. No luck. Bunch of griffs jumped my pack bird. I just bought it. He spits on the floor. Fast and nimble, but not brave enough to listen to me where all that screeching and scratching started. Excuse me. I couldn't do audiobooks. So it ran away with my bags. A few fell on the ground, and I pulled them here. But you see how it is. I won't travel around with a tent on my back. He taps the crossbow with his fingers. I need maybe a day more. Aye, just a day. I'll have all the iron scrap in the barrels, and I can move forward. But I can't take all my stuff alone. And without me, around the 8-men are all gonna break in and steal all my shit. I need you to stay here, but since you have a horse, come back tomorrow. I need to stay here, but since you have a horse, come back tomorrow and help me return to Hallersdale. How about it? I just need to know the road is safe. Safe as it can be. Alright, what do you want me to do? I need to make sure there's no danger hiding on the road. From here to Hallers, or rather, I know there is some danger. But as long as you can get there and return safely return, I'm sure we can handle some roaming monsters. He theatrically rubs his hands together. This ballista has hit more beast skulls than I have fingers, and I've never lost a finger, Roadster, only the toes. Maybe to prove it, he starts to count his fingers. So, see, if the road there is clear, then come here tomorrow, and we'll pack my stuff on your horse and move out. But don't come when it's close to evening. We're gonna need 3 hours on our feet. And I won't push through the night. Even sleeping next to an 8-man tribe is safer. He chuckles. And don't make me wait for too long. I can wait for a couple days if I find some food, but if you don't get back, I'll have to risk it no matter what. I don't work for free, though. I have my ways to pay ye. Don't worry. I can give you dragons, but you'll have to sell the iron first, so I'll need a bit of time, you see. 5 for a short escort would be plenty, I'd say, but if you want, I'll give you a secret jar of mine. A very fine mixture that scares 8-men away. Works on peplars, too. When you ask if all this stench is somehow related to this potion, he just winks and chuckles. Anything about the villages you visited? He seems surprised. Aye, but sure, but I don't have connections there, just my eyes. He starts to hum. You know, a longer pause. When you get to Howlers, you'll meet the mayor there, for sure. Dies. Whatever you do, don't ask her where she got her coins from. She's rich, stupid rich. But don't ask how this happened. Trust me. He scratches his beard with a mournful look. Alright, I'll come back tomorrow to escort you. Thanks, Roadster. Just come tomorrow. I'll make it worth your time. Alright, maybe you can help me. I'm looking for a Roadwarden, Asterion. I've never met him, but surely I've heard this name many times. He vanished long before I got to the coast. At first, people were asking about him. Now they think he's dead. And here, what happened to the village? Well, I won't guess, but I saw many ruins. There's no treasure, and skeletons here. So this place means as much as dirt. Someone was barking too loud, so the beasts broke through and made them quiet again. He clicks his tongue. And that's that. Talking about nature's fury brings bad luck, don't you know? Are there any dead I need to worry about? He nods. I've seen none. People say it's been less than 10 years since the Hards came here. but I don't know if anyone's bothered with raising the pyres. If not, the dead are all roaming the forest now. He clicks his tongue with frustration. It may be that there's a walker somewhere under the debris, waiting to break through like a dragon in an egg. He looks straight at you. Aye, you better don't dig. Alright, I'll be back. Well, I've plenty of nourishment. And the northern gate, let's see if we can open it. The paths here are almost reclaimed by grasses. To your east and west, you see shadowy alleys behind the damaged building. Well, let's get the gate open. Into the well, it's filled with soil, alright. And a nearby tree. You don't find anything worth picking. The half-dead quinces have maggots crawling under their skins. You wonder which part of this meal is more tempting for the darkwing birds, sitting among the branches, the flesh of the fruits, or out of the worms. Quinces are rarely eaten without having a chance to belt. You can safely guess they were meant to be tried or to add taste to cookies or hard drinks. After a few moments, you realize that the bottom part of the tree is just above the ground, partially charred, but someone had to oppose a torch here. But the wet wood wouldn't burst into flame. Well, I have 9 hours. And I spent 3 hours, almost 3.5. You take off your cloak and put your bags and satchels while Rico raises gladly in the meadow. After looking at the pile of dirt, you let out a sigh. You start with the larger rocks, removing the ground around them and pushing them into a single pile. Then you do the same on the other side. The real problem here is the soil. You keep kneeling and bending forward just to move it away, the larger clods. It goes on for a long time, but once you're done, your back hurts a bit. From now on, you passing through this place will take you less time. Okay. The closer you are to the village, the longer you stay around. And the longer you stay... The taste of gastric news, and you start to stumble. Okay. Okay. No need to tempt fate here. The road downhill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention to not only the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight rocky passages. You can't help notice a few caves and find ambush spots. Is there any sign of life? Oh, hello. Inns like this fit the region traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many seasons in the primitive hamlet, subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide, if not in the buildings. Then, at least in the yard, the expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. It is pretty hefty. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gambits. Each of them dyed differently: yellow, gray, or yellow, green, and linen gray. Let's approach the gate. Excuse me. A woman in yellow armor leads forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all in the woods. One would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Holiday. But no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with a male guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says there really are donkey saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? Alright, if you're gonna play witty, I might as well. You wouldn't believe it. Lessons were a pain. Get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that followed your first long journey. when your whole shell was crying. You illustrate the pain as you moved your hand from your back, hips, then thighs. In return, the guards tell you about the time they had to carry their friend with bitten off legs for 3 days straight through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood, the woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you, but don't get so nosy when you talk about her boss. The man never smiles. He has the world's suffering sculpted on his face. She leads you under the roof, under which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post near some old hay. Once you're inside, go inside and speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry. The other guards take care of various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. Ah, a new inn. The open windows fill the hall with refreshing air and the sounds of conversation. A muscular man is sweeping the floors near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads beneath the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft, with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I've got a keg of decent ale. Wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon. Today, maybe, and we don't drink here before the evening. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and their hair is unnaturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt doesn't belong to Hallivan. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so. If you want a bed or a meal, you have to pay. We have to make some... may have some leftovers for dinner, but I need to check. Distance. I won't stay here long. He nods and fills another mug, this time with water. I guess there's no point in waiting for Astarion then. I'm glad to see someone taking his place. Even my crew here hits the road only if they need to see the healers of Howler's Dell. They're more than resourceful. A Roadwarden is always going to find work here. In the north, maybe not on the eastern road. And I know, I took the eastern road. It sucks. He takes a mouthful of water and drinks it with a pleased sigh. There are guests here at the time, or hardly. There are no guests here at the time, or hardly ever. I can take a short break. For a brief moment. Let's drink the ale. The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as a chestnut. The lee in the spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer used fancy ingredients, exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know why there's so much left. Maybe it takes acquired taste. Innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with a worrying thought I have. Which is? There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I have no doubt they're the reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask for Thias, the mayor, about Glaucia, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. 3. He nods with a smile. Alright. Alright. Maybe some leftover. Well, no, I'm good on food. What about Astarion? What can you tell me? Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be much of help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so When asked about his attention, he measures his words. Astarion and I made a risky deal. Well, a promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins. My half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist, anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I'll make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing the news. You think he stole the coins and ran. He looks at the window and starts to play with a shutter. I just think Astarion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd say he had earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village to the northwest. Stay on the main road until you reach the bogs, and then enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return to this whole investment thing. Alright, fair enough. Okay, we've got quite a bit of quest. Well, so obviously explore the peninsula. We found out some interesting things. Obviously a new life. Finding the Roadwarden. Found a little bit of information. The Eastern Path. That's an ongoing quest. We need to continue more north, but we haven't gotten there yet. And then escort him. So we'll need to go to Hallersdale and back at one point. So that'll be a day 3 quest. And I'll probably Fallen Tree. Yeah, I'll need more people or better tools. Quintus won't let me use the gate he keeps unless I bring him 6 food rations. I'll need to add more food to that. According to Pelt's innkeep, Cloche and her band have broken the truce with the local villages. He's going to pay me 3 dragons if I can get in touch with Thias, the mayor of Hallersdale, and bring him her response. Well, that's fine, because I have to go there anyway, so it's not a big deal to me. And then I have... He needs a healing potion by day 10. Secret Chamber of Dolmen. I could have started that way, head that way. And obviously the Ruined Village, which, interestingly enough. And then the Swamp Altar. Okay, well, we have a few things. But for right now, I think that's a good stopping point. Thank you so very much for watching, and I appreciate everyone who's given me support so far. I will have more Roadwarden than next time. Have a good one, lads.